Hi there, we're at the Austin Tech Talk. I'm here with Vickie Nauman from 7digital. My name is Jules Parker, I'm from PRS for Music in the UK, and we're going to discuss 7digital and
music.
And music in general, everything that's relevant. So first off, can you tell us what 7digital is?
Absolutely. So 7digital is a music platform, and that means we license music from all of the major and independent labels throughout Europe, North America, parts of Latin America, and Asia, and we host them and we sub-license those rights out. So we let third parties build applications, creative implementations with legally licensed music, so they can come to us instead of having to do direct licensing.
Fantastic. And how long have you been established in the States, the United States? Because I know originally it's a company from the UK.
Exactly. Headquarters are in London, and the company's been around since 2004. In late 2009, we got our licenses here in the US, and that's when I joined the company. And we spent a little bit of time at first trying to figure out what 7digital's role was in the US market, because it's a very competitive, very big, complicated market and has a lot of its own dynamics, and that took us a little while, but we've really established a foothold here because a lot of US companies have been, almost everyone who's still in this space has failed at least once, and so the companies that are still at music are looking for good partners, and that's really what we're good at, is partnerships.
Fantastic. And with 7digital itself, because I know in the UK what the market is like, but here there are other people then that are doing similar things, or would you say there is something special, something kind of different about what 7digital do and how they do it?
Yeah, there are some other companies that do similar things here, and there's, anytime somebody wants to build an application with music, they have to think about how much do we want to do ourselves versus how much do we want to partner with someone? Do we want to do direct licensing? The answer to that is almost always no.
That gets tricky in the States.
It gets very, very tricky, and it takes and I think more importantly, it takes a really long time to get it done. And so the market is changing so quickly that if you want to take 18 months to do direct licensing, by the time you get those licenses, the market will have changed. And so your application and the rights that you secured might not be relevant anymore.
And so do they say, again, it was a music app, so they have a choice just to go to different people to get that bundle of rights, get that bundle of content?
They can, okay. And I think where 7digital is differentiated is that we do offer different kinds of services if companies want to do integrated downloads under their brand or our brand if they want to do streaming. Mm-hmm. But the biggest differentiator for us is international. Okay. And most companies just really don't have an appetite to learn about rights and user experiences in every territory in Europe as well as here, and
I don't think many people realize actually the difference, even in the UK, the differences within mainland Europe in different countries is striking as to what services provide different things, and also the different rights that are bundled in it. So 7digital, how can you work with that internationally?
Well, we're a little crazy because
okay.
we've negotiated rights with all of the labels and publishers in each territory, and what we try to do is make sure we have locally relevant music.
Yep.
We have to have the local currency. And then there are different rights and settlement procedures in every territory. And so for people here in the US, a lot of times I think a really good illustration is that we have a huge market,
yep.
One market, one set of rights, one pool of consumers. But it would be, to compare the US market to the European market is almost like saying, well, let's just assume that every state in the US had different laws,
yep.
and different licensing structure, and that if you wanted to do something in California versus Texas versus New York, you'd have to get different rights. Okay. And that's the way it is in Europe, and we try to make it simpler for companies to have different territories in their product offerings so that they build it once and they deploy it in many markets.
And so for example, those companies, what companies, as an example, are doing that? What companies do you work with?
Yeah, we have some companies that are just a single market.
Yep.
Like we in the U.S., one of our primary partners is T-Mobile,
Yep.
and they're a carrier, and they're only in the U.S. and they're a really great partner of ours, and we power downloads for them. But most of the companies that are in the consumer electronics space, they are shipping devices out of Asia, out of manufacturing all over the world, and they want one MP3 solution or one streaming solution everywhere on all of their devices. And so companies like HP and
Yep.
Samsung and Toshiba and BlackBerry, they work with our API, they license everything out.
So they use
and they
all your
deploy.
back end and then, or the licensing back end and then go through.
Exactly, and they build the front end, and it just is, it's an incredibly difficult thing for them to do, and most of the companies that are partners of ours they tend to have their own specialty. It's consumer electronics products, or it's carriers, or it's a brand, and they love music. They all want music. They want it to shine in their products, but they don't really understand it. And once we start talking to them about
It's a very specific industry, isn't it?
It is, and we start explaining how music licensing works, and you could just see their eyes glaze over, and I know they think that we're making it up, that it couldn't possibly be this difficult, but it is. And so we try to sit in between the music companies and the tech companies and make sense of each other's
and give them a
industries.
reason to actually be able to do it. And,
Exactly.
and actually make it easier, facilitate that. So what about the actual writers and the artists? How do they get paid through this? Because this is a legal option, obviously. So this is a way for the music industry to actually sustain itself, make money. I mean, how does that work with 7digital?
Well, it's really difficult right now to be an artist and to be a songwriter, and I like coming down here to South by Southwest because you get to see people performing at their best in front of fans that absolutely love their music, and it's a really good reminder of how important it is to our culture and to our economy. But the way writers and performers get paid is basically through micropayments, and we will collect money from all of our partners and end users who are making transactions, and then we track the usage, and we basically take a split of every transaction or every stream, and that gets passed through our system, our partner's system, into a settlement engine, and then eventually
that's country, territory by territory as well.
It's territory by territory and label by label.
Yep.
And publishing societies, and so there's a really long thread, and there's a delay from when someone purchases something. By the time the artist gets it, we actually don't know when the artist or the songwriter gets it because it goes through a label or through a publisher.
Yep.
But we believe that despite all of that there's a delay, but with enough legally licensed services out there that all of those little micropayments start making a difference.
I think they do. I mean, everyone loves music. Music is now more ubiquitous. It's more ever present, I think, and is used by more people, more companies across the world. And it's making sure that all those little bits of money actually add up to something substantial for an artist, so they can sustain themselves. I know for us, in PRS, you see the money coming in from, say, Spotify, or in the UK we license YouTube as well. So anytime video is streamed, money comes in. It's very small amounts, but it's still coming in.
Yeah.
So it's making all those things add up, and hopefully that's going to make a difference.
I think it will. I think it will, but I think it is. I think it's something that is just the entire industry from 1980 to 2000 ballooned from an economic standpoint, and it ballooned around a transaction that was $23 or £20 for a CD, and when digital came around, that went from a single transaction of 20 to 1. Yeah. And so it's just a huge disruption to everyone, and certainly from the actual creators. But I think there's a tremendous amount of room for artists to develop a fan base, and as music is running like water through all of these different applications, if it's legally licensed, they will get paid.
Yeah.
But it's it's a it's tough, and I'm sure requiring a lot more patience than the average guitar player is willing to.
But hopefully, people are getting more and more wise as to how they can make sure they do get that money as well in terms of artists.
Exactly.
Anyway, but with because I know that 7digital, you have your own branded stores as well, don't you? And within that, you have, I know because I was just speaking to one of your colleagues about doing some editorial and some content with some of the UK bands who are here. So could you tell us a bit more about that and what that involves? And
yeah, absolutely. And we do have two sides to our business, and so the core of it is around our platform and licensing that out to third parties. But we also sell music to end consumers, and we sell MP3s, we fully unprotected MP3s, and we do that in all of our territories. And it's really good for us because we get firsthand information from the users and behavior around what prices people will pay, what kind of music they want. We do some editorial of our own picks, and we're able to track trends ourselves. Whereas I think it would be very difficult if we were only a platform provider and we weren't actually engaging directly with consumers. And so we're seeing a lot of trends emerge in our own environment, and then we can help pass that knowledge on to third parties. The other thing that's really valuable about our end consumer relationships is that we know that consumers swap out devices all of the time. And so they're constantly getting a new phone and a new handset, and they might have an Android tablet, a BlackBerry, an iPhone, a MacBook, and a Dell PC. And we have to, we have a locker where the user's purchased music always resides. And so that locker works in any connected device, and that starts to become a central part of the user's experience to be able to always access their music collection on any device.
Absolutely. I mean, now it's the norm, isn't it? I mean, the Google Docs, for example. I mean, you can't really survive unless you know it's somewhere there and you can access it wherever you are, because you just rely on it now. And I'm sure that's the same way. I mean, is that territory specific, or you have something here in the locker here, or is that still?
No,
it's global.
It's global. It's global, and once you buy music, then it goes into your locker. And we just did a partnership with Sonos, which was really great because that just allows consumers to listen to their collection out of the locker. And even though there's a lot of debate about what business model is going to win, we don't really see things that way, because we see it's there's a long-standing behavior of music lovers to listen to things that are easy and free, and a radio is the best example, but they want their music collection, and they may be bookmarking it in the cloud, they may be downloading it to a device, they may just make a playlist in the streaming service, but they want to have their music that means something to them, and that's their own collection.
Yes, that's very true. And keep it personal as well. Is there anything South by Southwest, is 7digital doing stuff here? Anything specific, or
we're doing a couple things. Yeah, we have a whole crew here this year, which is great, because in the last few years it was usually me and one other person, and this year we've got some people over from the London office.
Backup this time.
Exactly. And we've got a couple panels. I'm doing a panel on high quality audio. And I've got people that is on Thursday at 2:00. And I've got people from Warner Music, from Neil Young's Pono project, from Dolby and HD Tracks, and we're really going to talk about audio quality, which is another thing that really matters to artists.
Yes.
And
especially Neil Young at the moment.
Especially Neil Young, and I'm a fan, and we're going to talk about the importance of audio quality from an artist's standpoint, as well as from an industry, and how hard it is to deliver it.
Absolutely. And I think we're being signaled we've only got a bit more time. Anything about South by that you're really looking forward to? Just
music. I can't wait. And I'm hoping to get in to see Nick Cave tomorrow night, and Alt J, and Yeah Yeah's on the same bill. I'm very excited about that. And then Dave Grohl has his supergroup side project on Thursday.
Does. And he's got his keynote.
Yes,
as well.
Exactly.
I don't know if I can get to that, but it looks like it'll be great.
I know, he's a really smart. He's a really smart guy. I'm an admirer of him, and I think as much music, and it's always a bit of a reunion every year here.
Yeah, I know. You always see some great. It's great to catch up with people.
Yeah.
I think there's one specific question that I'm going to read, which is, what do you think is the single most important issue in the digital music space, and what role do you see you or your company playing in it?
Well, I think the single most important issue right now is something we touched on a little earlier, which is artists and songwriters getting paid and getting compensated. And I think there's so much complexity around licensing, around the technology, around the money that's getting passed around for these micropayments all over the world and through millions and millions of devices that there's a lot of money that is just not getting to the right people. And I think there's far too much money being spent in administrative and legal fees, and I think that there needs to be a rebalancing in the industry.
Make it simpler.
Make it simpler and get more money flowing from the consumer to the artist, because I firmly believe that music lovers and even all of our technology partners, everyone's willing to pay for music. They really are. They just don't oftentimes know who to pay. Yeah, you have to make it easy. Just same thing with consumers, and we just want artists and songwriters to get paid too.
Sounds great. Well, Vickie, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah.